All right, what is up? We got some pretty big news. And of course, I think the big thing people are going to take away from this are the changes that you see on screen, which we'll get to in just a second. But the one thing, or the few things actually, I'm more interested in regarding this quick OTA balance update, which we're going to be getting quite a few of them in the future. One a week, actually, every Thursday. And again, they're not replacing the existing patch, but we'll get into that. So let's get it started. And April 6th, today. And for those who know where they say OTA stands for over the air, refers to their hotfix changes. So when they said not too long ago, hey guys, our hotfix shit is it's broken, can't use it, clearly they fixed it. So if you open the app now or close it, reopen it like I had to do because I was already actually playing when I saw this announcement, they will update your shit. So we have Red Skull. We have a change to Red Skull, dropping a power from 513 to a 512. Still having ongoing enemy cards at this location have +1 power. And they say, as our previous patch notes discussed, we last suggested Red Skull to weaken specifically his interactions with Shuri and Taskmaster. Our goal was to keep his strength otherwise flat or even slightly improved and see how things settled once we softened Thanos' grip on the metagame. We know many players disagreed with that approach, and we're weighing that feedback as we continue to debate internally how aggressive our balance updates should be. In this case, things settled into an improved metagame, but with decks based around Shuri and Taskmaster still too strong for our liking, we recognize Shuri is clearly the true offender here, and we have a balance change for Shuri ready. However, that change to Shuri needs a patch to be implemented, and we cannot make it through OTA. Okay, so that right there is a big thing, okay? And they also go on to say that when the Shuri change goes live, will they revert the Red Skull? They say maybe. It just depends on what they see. But this is the thing. They have a nerf or maybe at least a change to Shuri that they cannot implement on this OTA and this hotfix, right? And I think that's really interesting. So that means that they're changing something fundamental with the card. I really hope I've seen that rescue treatment floated around of saying, because how rescue is worded, it says next turn if you play a card here, she gets similar to actually Hawkeye as well. She'll get +5. Hawkeye gets +2. If Shuri had the exact same wording and then it doubled the power, I think it'd be far less oppressive. Instead of getting two 26 power things with a Red Skull, Taskmaster, you still could, but you have to finagle some stuff now, and it's going to make it a bit more exposed to Shang-Chi. You'd have to play onto an armor lane with Shuri, and then you can't Taskmaster behind another armor or whatever. I mean, that kind of thing, right? So this could make a big difference, but we'll see what they do. We will see what they do. Let me know down below what you want them to do, what you think is going to happen to Shuri, and how do you feel about Red Skull in general. I think this is perfectly fine. So next is Sunspot. Sunspot going from a 1-1 to a 1-0, having the same thing. Sunspot is one of the most heavily played cards in the game. The reason is he's strong, he's in Series 2, powerful synergies with other cards like She-Hulk, Infinite, blah, 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 blah. All this adds up to a solid criteria for a minor nerf, creating... this one makes sense. Like, I would have thought Sunspot be a 1-0 for a while now. When you look at things like Angela being a 2-0, things like that, like the cards that have the potential to grow, Darkhawk's another example, that one power can make a difference in terms of games. I've won plenty of games off of Sunspot, getting just enough energy to add him to enough power to win by 1. So this will make a big difference, and I think it's fine. Sunspot's still going to be played, still going to be one of the best cards in the game. This just brings him down a little bit more in line with other cards. Now we have some buffs. Big one. Shadow King. Oh, don't want to spoil stuff yet. Shadow King from a 4-3 to a 3-3. Still has the same thing. On reveal, set all cards here to the original base power. They say Shadow King's whole purpose is to fight back against exactly the kind of thing that Shuri's doing, but this card is simply was released too weak to be consideration for most decks. We recognize his status as a Series 4 card that's used to answer powerful decks rather than fuel him, might limit his potential to impact the metagame. However, we're happy to give him this boost and see where things land from there. I really think Shadow King should say, revert all cards on the battlefield to their base power, maybe that'd be too good, but I don't know. This is fine. 3/3. Now, you could actually even play Shadow King now in a server deck. You'd have to just make sure you order them. I mean, server always goes last anyway, right? But be on a Shadow King, then server seems pretty solid, actually, now that I think about it. So, yeah, I think this one's fine. I'm interested in testing it out, see how it goes. I don't think it's going to be very impactful, especially because it's one of the lesser desired cards that people are not going to really get. But, hey, you never know. Next, we have Sentry. Sentry's going from a 4/8, adding the 8 power, negative 8 power void to the right, to a 4/10, now adding a negative 10 power void to the right location. So I like how they're still mirroring his power with the void. And it says Sentry is a card that just has not found a great home yet. While these number changes are an obviously impactful buff, it does increase the potential reward for running Sentry and the potential damage for donating your void with Viper. So they already understand that interaction is the king in that kind of deck. They said it's a change they've been interested in trying out, so we're making it here. I really like this. I think Sentry's a cool card. I actually really like Sentry quite a bit, and I would love to give this a whirl. Giving my opponent a negative 10 Viper is, or a negative 10 with Viper is better than a Hobgoblin, right? Which makes sense that you want it to be better than Hobgoblin because it's a 6 energy investment, where Hobgoblin's a 5 energy investment. So you would think you'd have a slightly better, but of course you get a 10 power now. I think it all balances out, right? This is really cool. Now, that's it for the buffs and the nerfs. But let's look at the balance future. This is really big stuff, okay? And I know I'm blocking part of it, but I'll make sure to read it out. So let me start here, actually. Speaking of changes we're interested in trying out, we have an exciting announcement about the future of card balance. Starting with our upcoming April patch, currently scheduled for 4/18, so they give us the date. So that's when you should expect Shuri to be changed. The 18th. That is a little over a week. So mark your calendars. Be ready for that. Now we know that's coming. Our patch every 4 weeks will continue to release on Tuesdays and include card updates as well. But the intervening weeks will each feature changes going live on Thursdays via OTA. So they're going to have weekly OTAs. We know this is sort of balanced attention and prioritization that many of you have clamored for, and thank you for your feedback, all that. We're excited, blah, blah, blah. So let's go ahead with some questions that will be popular. First off, why Thursdays? Why not? Actually, Thursdays are just a good day to slide into the rest of our schedule and ensure our QA team has enough time to verify these updates. It also avoids stepping on new card releases or hot feature locations. I like that. What kind of changes will we make? Our OTA tool gives us the ability to make changes within about a week or two, but it is limited in what we can change. We're continuing to develop the tool and expand its limitations, but for now you can expect weekly Thursday changes to be numbers only like the above, with our larger patches still addressing the most major changes to card functionality and visual effects. So that makes sense. So these OTA hotfixes are going to be purely numbers in terms of like, cost and power. I think that's fine. And says, what would be nerfing or buffing cards? They're going to be doing both. They're like, hey, look above. We did both. There you go. So yeah. And they're saying they're guaranteeing at least one buff in each update. I like that a lot. How many cards? Their target is 2 to 4 cards each week. So at the very minimum, 1 buff, 1 nerf, 2 nerfs, 2 buffs, things like that. Maybe we'll get more buffs than nerfs. Who knows? But I think that's cool. 2 to 4 changes every week is pretty impactful, I would say. How we pick which cards to change. We have a list of buffs, a very small list of nerfs, and we're making to existing content, prioritizing them based on how we expect the individual changes to affect the metagame, or even combine with new cards and locations, but we'll shift them around based on the live metagame. Why not just make them all now? One of the things we're wary of with balanced patches is how much change is too much. And okay, yeah, this is a big thing, right? If you make too many changes, this is a change of variables. So if back with the Red Skull nerf initially, right, they added all these changes into the metagame, there can be inflation in what their data says. Now, Will a card see less play because the nerf was impactful and actually made a change, right? Or will it see less play for this period of time because the other buffs around these other cards are more exciting because it's different. It's different from the metagame. It's shaking it up a little bit, but not shaking it up in the way that it's genuinely impactful cards to be top meta contenders, but because people are excited to be like, yo, I've been wanting this card to be good, so maybe it's good now. That can inflate things and actually alter the way they perceive the data. And that's why they don't want to make all these changes too much. And I completely agree with that, right? You don't want it to be too much too fast and then kind of muddy the waters, right? And then they're saying how long we're going to do this. We've planned a trial period for May, and depending on how it goes, we may continue onward. We're optimistic about that at the moment. And that is all you got. Cool. So this is really impactful. This is really important. These are going to make some big changes moving forward. And I'm excited to see what it brings, what the buffs are. I like these periodic changes. I'm a little wary in how much it might be maybe too heavy-handed at times, but because it's purely a numerical change to costs and things like that, maybe it won't be as impactful or maybe like as meta warping. But hey, power changes are one thing, but cost changes can completely change the entire dynamic of how a card works and how a deck can work around it. Because there are plenty of cards that just have slightly awkward, cost in a deck to all the cards surrounding it of the archetype you want to play it in, to where it's the easiest cut to make because, hey, it's hard to play it, right? But changing the cost of a card and making it more friendly to slot into a deck in that archetype can make that deck way better because it curves out nicer. But what do you guys think? What do you think of the changes to Sunspot, Shadow King, Red Skull? What do you think about the overall changes moving forward and how we're going to see cards implemented and changed in these upcoming, patches and OTAs and things like that? What do you think the Shuri change is going to be? Is it going to be the rescue treatment? Are they going to completely change the way the card works in general? What do you think? Let me know down below. Remember to like, subscribe, help grow the channel, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys for your support, and I hope to see you next time.
I can't find myself again, splitting ends with them. Don't you know that I'm a parasite, stuck between the known and unforeseen? Such a dead routine. Once I'm done, I'll leave you dead inside.